What's up, everybody? This is the Juiced Up Show. I'm your host, Juiced Up Accardo, episode 26 of the program. We got a good one for you today. We're going to talk a little NFL free agency, some NBA, and then at the end of the show, it's the Juiced Up Takes. All right, NFL free agency kicked off this week. It's been a lot of signings, a lot of guys getting traded, dudes getting released, and then getting signed by other teams. So I kind of cherry picked a few that I thought were some of the bigger free agent signings that can make a difference on the teams that they sign with. So the first free agent signing we're going to talk about is Mike Evans going from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the San Francisco 49ers. So he's moving from Florida to California, going across the nation, going to play in the NFC West now. So he's going to be playing some great competition. He'll be in a good offense, with Mike Shanahan. I think they're going to utilize him very well. So you got him. You got Mike Evans, Kittle, McCaffrey, and then you got Pearsall at receiver also. So their offense is kind of coming together. We got a little bit of disputes with Trent Williams, if they're going to bring him back or not, or if he's going to be traded. So we'll figure out how we'll keep an eye on that and see how that goes. But Mike Evans is a great receiver. If he stays healthy, he's a top 10 guy, maybe even top 5, depending on the team he's at and the quarterback that he has throwing to him. I think the quarterback position is a little bit of a downgrade going from Baker to Brock, but we'll see how that goes. I think you throw Baker on that 49ers offense, he's going to thrive even more than Brock Purdy does. And Brock Purdy's decent. But in my opinion, he's an average quarterback, but he gets paid more than average. He doesn't really do anything to excel your team to win. A lot of his stuff is based off of the system, based off of getting guys open for him, so makes his reads a lot simpler. And then also when you have Christian McCaffrey to dump the ball off to and also hand off 20 times a game, it makes your job a lot easier at quarterback playing for the 49ers. So I think Mike Evans going there, good for him. He needed a change of scenery, I believe, because he was offered more money by Tampa. And sometimes, you just need a little change of scenery. You're trying to get that ring, and maybe he didn't see Tampa getting a ring this year or in the near future with his career kind of hitting, winding down to the end of it. So Mike Evans to the 49ers. We'll keep an eye on that one in the NFC West. You got Seattle, Super Bowl champion. You got the Rams, who just beefed up their secondary with a couple guys from the Chiefs. And then, the Cardinals are, they're in a phase of they're trying to rebuild and kind of recalibrate their roster. So we'll keep an eye on the NFC West with the addition of Mike Evans, and then also with Seattle losing a couple corners and then also a defensive edge rusher. Next up, we had Isaiah Pacheco going from the Chiefs to the Lions. The Lions ended up trading David Montgomery, so they needed to kind of fill in that slot to back up Jahmyr Gibbs and kind of ease the load off of him. So Isaiah Pacheco going to the Lions. It was interesting. I think that's a good one. He's a hard runner. I think his mentality of style of play and the way he presents himself, I think it definitely fits with his team and Coach Dan Campbell. I think he's going to be a great addition. He does have a good little burst. I would say his speed is probably a little bit better than David Montgomery, but David Montgomery is probably a little bit bulkier, maybe a little more durable with his size and muscle stature. So we'll see how that one goes. The Lions are definitely going to have a bounce back year after not making the playoffs and then making the playoffs a couple years before this. So we'll see how they go. I really do think Jared Goff's the only thing that's going to kind of hold them back, and they're eventually going to have to upgrade the quarterback position, just like the Rams did by getting rid of Goff and getting Matt Stafford. Next signing, we had Romeo Doubs going to the Pats. Pats let go of Stephon Diggs. He's got a lot of baggage right now, and I guess the baggage wasn't worth the talent. So they had to get rid of him. They got rid of Diggs. He's still out there. And Doubs is a good receiver. He's very reliable. He's got good hands. He can catch a good deep ball. Just with him is keeping an eye on the concussions and injuries. Green Bay had a lot of injuries with their receiving core over the last couple of years. So that's going to be another one is nutrition, how he stays healthy, and just keeping his head from bouncing off the turf or, getting another concussion. But I think this is, I wouldn't say a major upgrade from Diggs, but it's definitely an upgrade. You still have to kind of get some better receivers around him. Mac Hollins, he's not going to cut it. And I think they had the other guy, but I think he might have left to the Cardinals. So I think it's Bourne or something like that, maybe. I could be wrong. But I think the Pats, they definitely still got to tighten up their receiving core and then add a tight end. Hunter Henry's on his way out. He's getting to the tail end of his career, and he had no separation in the playoffs from anybody neither. And then the other signing was a big one with the Chiefs losing Pacheco in free agency. They ended up grabbing the Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker, which was, pretty crazy in my opinion. We'll see how Walker does with this O-line with the Chiefs. They're not going to be as good as the Seahawks were as of right now on paper, but we'll see how they develop their O-line. They got rid of Jawan Taylor as well. They're kind of in a transitional phase of, trying to bring in new talent, get out some older talent, some new faces, some fresh faces, bringing back Kelsey for one more year. This is probably going to be his retirement, go around his last season. So the Chiefs are they're definitely not Super Bowl favorites going into the season, I would say. I wouldn't even say they're favorites to win their division. I think the Chargers and Broncos are kind of at that point right now on paper. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how the analytics play out, and we'll see just how their season develops and if they're able to grab some linemen. They also did draft a tackle last year, didn't play too well. So we'll see how the Chiefs end up, with this transition of kind of getting in some new talent, getting rid of older talent. So we'll see how they do with them. And obviously, I'll be keeping an eye on the AFC West with me being a Chargers fan. Malik Willis, the backup quarterback from Green Bay, been a backup his whole career, never really been a full-time starter. He's going to the Dolphins, signed a big check, got a big bag. And, I think you're rolling the dice with this guy. He doesn't have a lot of game tape under his belt, but the games he did play, he played well. So that's something to hang your hat on. But I think, with the Dolphins, I think with Kyler Murray being out there would not have been a bad option. I think Kyler Murray obviously has more tape. He can prove himself. He's proven himself. I think the problem with Kyler Murray is the lack of focus, attention to detail, watching film, and not just depending on your pure athleticism. Because once that athleticism is gone, what are you going to depend on then? If you don't develop the smarts, the ability to read a defense, or get off your first read or what's your hot reads, you're not going to last that long in this league. And your speed, even though he is very fast, and even him being slowed down, it's still faster than a lot of guys in the NFL. But when you depend on those kind of things, just pure athleticism, your game's not going to develop, and that's kind of where he's at the point of his career. I think for Kyler Murray, if he wants to further his career in football, being a backup somewhere with a good quarterback, kind of like what Darnold did with the Niners. And, Darnold was quoted saying that he never knew how to read a defense until he became the 49ers backup. And that's pretty sad, because how could these coaches that were coaching you not notice that you do not know how to read a defense? That's what the trip part is. Like, these coaches that were coaching you, quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators, head coaches, they couldn't tell that you didn't know how to read a defense. Like, that's kind of a trip, and that's really just shows you where the game of the quarterback position is right now. Is that they're throwing these guys into these positions as a quarterback, thinking, or I don't know what expectations they're having, but you're going to have to start making some guys backups nowadays and really develop them for a year or two, just like the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. Your team already sucks as it is. They're not going to get, they're not going to get that much better in 1 year just because you drafted this rookie quarterback. Like the Raiders drafting Mendoza, I still don't see them making the playoffs, even though they have been going through a free agent frenzy. And then speaking of the Raiders, they had traded Max Crosby to the Baltimore Ravens. He ends up fails the physical, and now he's getting rescinded back. The trade is being rescinded. He's getting sent back to Las Vegas. So the Ravens thought they had Max Crosby, couldn't pass the physical. They no longer have Max Crosby. He's going back to the Raiders. I think the Raiders can work out a deal. Dallas still wanted Max Crosby, and I can see Jerry Jones being the guy that he is. He will take this guy, even though he cannot pass a physical. But I don't think you're going to get as much value for him as you did with the Ravens, them giving up 2 first-rounders. I think now you're looking at maybe a first and a third possibly for Max Crosby. And then the other one was the Dolphins released Tua. They released Tua. He ends up getting picked up by the Falcons fairly quickly, surprisingly. I thought, Kyler Murray would have got picked up before he did. So now we got Tua, and you got Penix at the quarterback position with the Falcons. Not the best quarterback room right now. They're a quarterback away. They lost Pierce now because he's having some off-field issues. The Falcons are kind of a mess. I'm not going to lie. They're kind of a mess. They brought back Raheem Morris for 2 years after he had already coached, previously with the Falcons. Ended up firing him again. And now I feel like they're scrambling. They're kind of scrambling, and when you're scrambling and getting desperate, you make desperate moves, and they usually end up don't panning out. So we'll keep an eye on the Falcons and NFC South, and how their situations are going. Panthers just signed a edge rusher, so they made their defense a little more stout. And they made the playoffs last year and won that division. So we'll keep an eye out for that NFC South and to see how the Falcons develop their quarterback room. If they're going to bring in another veteran that's maybe a little bit better than Tua and Penix. Penix also did get hurt last year. There's rumors that it's hard for him to get under center because of his knee situation. So that kind of handcuffs you as an offensive coach and a head coach on what you can do formation-wise with that guy at quarterback. So we'll keep an eye on those guys in the NFL free agency as it develops throughout the next couple weeks before the draft does. But if your team is a team that hasn't been signing a lot of guys, they either probably don't have the money, or they have positions filled already, or they're going to build off the draft and see what players get released during training camp. Because once you have training camp hit, you start seeing players that they're going to request trades, or that they're going to get released because maybe they're just not fitting the chemistry of the team right now, or maybe the team drafted a player for that position that they like better. So we'll keep an eye out for that too as well with training camps and to see what other players are unhappy or who gets released. Still have Tyreek Hill out there. I'm really hoping my Chargers can make a move for him, even though we already did sign 2 other Dolphins. We got a guard from the Dolphins and then also the fullback from the Dolphins. So we could be the Los Angeles Charger Dolphins. But, that's fine with me. If Mike McDaniels likes him and they fit his scheme, let's bring him in and let's try to make the team win. All right, next up, we're going to switch over to some NBA. We had Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum returned from an Achilles injury after 299 days. He was on that Aaron Rodgers Achilles factory tip. He was working his butt off. He was with the team all throughout the season while he was still getting rehab. And, he proved himself to be very admirable. And I agreed with him getting brought in, coming back. I didn't think it was a bad move at all. I thought, if you're healthy and you got the clearance, play. Why not? Why not? You're only guaranteed a certain amount of years in this league, to hit those big paydays and those paychecks. Why not come back? Why sit out another year? Your team's winning. They're doing well. You're going to be a great addition. He stepped in for these first couple games. Team's doing well. They haven't fell off at all. They're not getting away from what got them here. Obviously, bringing him back as a starter, you're getting more depth now to your bench with Pritchard and Hauser coming off the bench. So you got some good depth now with him being a starter, and he's actually played pretty well. I think he had like 20 in one game or something like that. He shot pretty well. So his condition is just going to keep getting better and better the more games he plays. And I like this guy a lot. I like the heart. I like the drive. And this really goes against kind of the whole era nowadays of like, just sit out, just take it easy, come back, don't rush it. And it's like, nah, man, if you're healthy and you could play some ball and your team is doing good and you guys have a possibility to win another chip, you go for it, man. You go all in and you go for it head fucking first. And that's how you do it, and that's the kind of shit I like to see. So props to Jason Tatum for coming back within 299 days of an Achilles injury. And they're playing well still. They're doing really good. And so I like this team a lot. I like Boston a lot in the East. I think the Eastern Conference of the NBA is you got Boston, Detroit, and probably, with Cleveland adding Harden, you're going to throw Cleveland in there. And the Knicks are probably in the back end of that. So that's kind of where the East, I feel like, is lining up right now. Not in order, but it's going to be Detroit, Cleveland, and Boston in that area, and maybe the Knicks. We'll see how they go. Raptors are making a little noise, but I don't see them getting out, past after the first round. I don't see them advancing that much further. All right, next up, I'm going to flash some stats on the screen for you guys. Tell me what you think. 23.9 points a game. Has played 50 games, averaging about 29 minutes, 50% field goal percentage, not the worst. 3-point, 35%, pretty good. Free throw percent, 81. Rebounding is 11 rebounds a game, 2.9 assists a game, and 3 blocks and 1 steal. All right. Now guess who the player guess the stats of this player. This would be Victor Wembanyama. And I believe this guy is very, 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 very overrated. Yes, I said it. Victor Wembanyama is overrated. The guy is 7'4". I get it. He can dribble, whatever. Kevin Durant, 7'1", 7'2". He can dribble. He can shoot threes. He can go inside. He has a better post game than Victor Wembanyama. The guy, I watched the 2 games this past weekend of this guy playing. He played the Clippers, and then the other game was, I can't remember who it was. It was the Clippers and the Rockets. I watched those 2 games he played this past weekend, Clippers and the Rockets. What I noticed about this guy was like I said, these are only the full 2 games I've watched of the Spurs play. He likes to shoot threes from the left side of the court every time. On defense, he's going to sag back off of this. He's going to sag off the center and to sit in the key pretty much for as long as he can because they don't call 3 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever it is in the NBA now. So that's why he averages the 3 blocks a game because he don't cover the center. And with the Clipper game, they had Brook Lopez just hanging out the 3-point line on offense, and then suddenly this guy sagged back. Like, why would you do that? The reason why the Spurs struggle with the Knicks and physical teams is because when you take this guy down in the blocks, this guy's he's worthless. He's skinny as hell. He doesn't go down low even on offense. And if you're 7'4" and you only average 11 rebounds a game, those are mediocre numbers. That's like Russell Westbrook probably averages 10 to 11 rebounds a game almost. Like for being 7'4" and you only average 11 rebounds a game, that's dog shit in my opinion. You should be getting 15 boards a game. You only average 23 points. You should average 27 to 30 being that big. And then at the end of the Clippers game, he's crying because he was so exhausted. He was so exhausted that he was crying at the game afterwards because they won. He was crying. And they were down 25 points in that game, and he was sitting out while the team came back. And then when they got down 97 to 90, that's when he wanted to jump back in and act like some fucking saving hero or something. This guy is a joke. He's overrated. Media hype is just glazing this guy like a no other. And everyone else that watches like social media, they just glaze his ass too. The guy's not that good. Yeah, he's 7'4" and he can dribble, but that's all he shoots. He hangs out at the 3-point line like he was JJ Redick. Like, give me a break, dude. You're 7'5". Get your ass down on the blocks. Post a mofo up. Let me see a little jump hook or something. You're just over here shooting up threes, dude. You're not 6'6". You're 7'5". Get your big ass down on the blocks and grab some fucking boards. Victor Wembanyama, overrated, dude. Overrated. I said it. Victor Wembanyama, overrated, and I won't leave it. Bye-bye. All right. So that was my NBA takes. And next up at the end of the show, it's the Juiced Up Takes. All right, Juiced Up Take. We're going back to NBA. You know, the National Basketball Association of Whiners. Next up is Steve Kerr. I did drop a short advocating that teams that tank are at the bottom of the league go to the G League. And then also that they should bump the games down to 72 so there's no excuses for, having to take time off or whatever like that. So recently, Steve Kerr is now saying that the league should go to 72 games, which is hilarious because all of a sudden, once this guy started losing and not advancing to championships or, advancing in the playoffs, this guy has become the biggest fucking whiner in the NBA. Like, he's like the new Popovich. Popovich was such a whining bitch before he left. Like, Steve Kerr has inherited that whining now. Like, straight up, Steve Kerr is the biggest whiner on God's green earth of the NBA. Like, just sit your ass back and coach, bro. This is the league. 82 games. You played in it. You were a front office guy. I didn't hear you, like Stephen A. Smith said, he didn't hear you say nothing like this when you were in the front office, when you were a GM. He didn't hear you talking like this when you were a player. Okay, pace. Do you want to talk about pace? Okay, pace of the game. Then slow the fucking game down, bro. Have your team slow the game down. Slow it down. If it's a pace issue on your team, when your team has the ball, you can control the pace of your game. Then slow the fuck down. Come on, man, it ain't that hard. Use the noggin. You're a smart guy. Got that big ass fucking jaw. That's my juiced up take for the day. Coach Steve Kerr, biggest whiner in the NBA now, man. I can't take it no more. And that's the juiced up take. All right, that was episode 26 of the program. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. Hit the likey, hit the subscribey. I'll be coming back with episode 27. We'll talk some more NFL, some more free agency. We're going to be talking NBA, of course, as well. MLB season will be getting going soon, so we'll have Mr. Baseball, Kenny Campbell, getting on the program. We're also going to get Jamaica Gary on for the NBA special before the playoffs start. So we got a lot of good things coming down the pipe. Make sure you guys, like I said, hit like, hit subscribe. Please comment. Let me know what you guys think of the show. Let me know what you think of some of the takes. Also, email the show, thejuicedupshow@gmail.com. I'd love to hear some feedback. I'd love to hear some ideas for the show, any type of great topics I can talk about that maybe I'm missing. And that's pretty much it for tonight. I'm your host, Jake Juiced Up Accardo. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a great evening. Stay safe, and God bless. Peace.